Instituto Mexicano del Transporte.
Good day to everybody. I'm Dr. Cesar Montiel, and this is the presentation of Immersive Technologies, an implementation of augmented reality with web services to solve transport problems. First of all, we need to know what is augmented reality. Augmented reality is a technology that has been used for several industries to optimize activities in daily routine. Through this technology, it's possible to generate a detailed visualization of each necessary step to perform a process or activity within the industrial platforms through not conventional devices. Some current application of this technology on industry can be found on marketing or to understand how specialized machines works. Augmented reality belongs to immersive technologies. These technologies create experiences by immersing the physical world with a digital or simulated reality. Augmented reality and virtual reality are two principal types of immersive technologies. These technologies share many of the same qualities. However, augmented reality blends computer-generated information onto the user's real environment. On the other hand, virtual reality uses computer-generated information to provide a full sense of immersion. The augmented reality is an integration technique of image processing, real-time computing, movement tracking, pattern recognition, projection of images, and features extraction to generate digital overlapping layers on real world. These kind of systems combine real and virtual objects on real environment to register their interaction on real time. There are several applications applied to transport, and we classify them on three cases: vehicle and infrastructure perspective, and navigation systems. On first case, we can find apps to identify road signs and show important information for drivers. On second case, we can find apps to identify the features of the surface to simulate how new buildings can be built. Finally, on navigation systems, there are some apps to improve security systems and to avoid maritime accidents through simulation and prototypes with this technology. There are a lot of devices and frameworks to develop augmented reality. Each one has its particularities and has some competitive advantage against others. But the main feature to select a device or a framework is the final client operating system. Some examples of these are Android or iOS. In the screen, we can see examples of some devices and some frameworks that we can use to develop augmented reality. Another important aspect on this research is the exploration about an architecture to implement on server-client systems. On this case, we work with a web service architecture. In general terms, web services are a technology used to exchange data between different applications based on protocols and standards that define the communication structure. This architecture defines three main parts: the web service provider, the service requester, and the publisher, which have the registry of existing services. Provider updates the publisher the definition of the web services that it controls. Then the requester requests information to the publisher referring to a service that it wishes to access. And publisher provides the necessary information for this communication. Finally, the requesting agent contacts the provider agent to make a request through a defined protocol, and provider validates the request and sends the data in a structured way using the respective protocol. We can find another architecture in the web services. It's called service-oriented architecture, and it focuses in defining the features of systems with the idea of services. And what is a service? A service is the logical representation of a business activity that has a specific result. For example, if we talk about bank systems, some business activities could be customer data acquisition, review of users' credit, generated reports of income and how the users spend their money, or validation of customer information. In the image, we can see the main elements on service-oriented architecture. For this research, to test these technologies, we developed two different applications. The device for our experiments was a music display which was provided by the National Laboratory for Logistics and Transportation Systems. And the web service that helped us to test the communication were the Google Maps API and Open Weather API. In addition, an API for Heraclitus was developed. Heraclitus is a project developed on the Mexican Institute of Transportation, and it allows to decision makers to identify the fluidity and performance of supply chains, such as the logistics value of the infrastructure. And it provides enough information to improve planning, productivity, and logistics operations on Mexico. It's a group application system that offers indicators to understand what happened in the national road network. And it has the capability to analyze and visualize massive data of transportation and logistics. The Fish app shows the results based on the interface of Vue6 Blades, and it's a native development for Android. We can see screenshots of this app on the black and green right images. It has two functionalities: an automatic request of device geospatial position through a request to the internal API of the operating system, and a request for each web service. The second tab was developed on Unity, and it has two sections. First one consists of an interface that will track the images implemented in a database. The second part of the application refers to an interface that will be activated when the algorithms on Vuforia framework identify the images stored in the target image database. The interface will change depending on the image that it identifies, then it generates a 3D virtual object. It also includes a text box with relevant information obtained of web services results. These results are shown in the black and blue right images. Finally, the conclusion for this research were the discovery of the importance of augmented reality on transport problems. We could identify several apps that use this technology to improve results in all transport modes. We can find it on simulation systems of different activities, development of training applications, and experiments to test intelligence of autonomous vehicles. Augmented reality is a technology that helps us to optimize the way we see the information through simple devices, and it has a great potential to generate systems for decision makers on different levels. For example, to show specific signs or information for truck drivers due to this kind of vehicles have a different regulation than others. Or another example, it can be the adjustments on defined roads and warnings about risk or accidents without direct interaction between drivers and devices. On the other hand, web services are a good option to interconnect systems without human interaction. Service-oriented architecture provides a new manner to get information from different systems around the world through communication protocols. This research helps us to understand how to implement services or web services on our projects and how to test them and show the information through the augmented reality classes. And that's all for this research. If you have some questions, you can send me an email. My information is on the screen. Thank you for your attention.
Instituto Mexicano del Transporte.